If you're a bloke over 60 and you've been having a bit of personal time on a regular basis, you might be sitting there thinking you're quietly doing damage to your prostate, wearing it out, draining your testosterone, maybe even upping your risk of cancer. That's the worry, isn't it? It's what gets whispered about in online forums and passed around like some kind of warning. But today, I'm going to show you something that'll knock your socks off. Something that science has uncovered that turns the whole thing on its head. G'day, I'm Dr. Zoe Mitchell, and I've been working in men's health for over 20 years now. Right here in Australia, I've sat across from thousands of blokes who were too scared to even bring this topic up, let alone understand how it affects their health. And what I've discovered, what the research actually shows, isn't just surprising, it's bloody liberating. Because while most men reckon that frequent ejaculation might inflame or damage the prostate, the truth is far more powerful. It might actually protect it. Fair dinkum. A groundbreaking study from Harvard tracked nearly 32,000 men over 18 years, and the results were extraordinary. In this video, you're going to discover the real effects of daily masturbation on your prostate, how it flushes out harmful waste, promotes healthy cell renewal, reduces inflammation caused by stress, and plays a crucial role in long-term cancer prevention. You'll also learn about a hidden danger that ejaculation alone can't fix, and natural ways to take complete control of your prostate health. Stick with me, because what's happening inside your body right now might not be what you think. Before we dive in, if you genuinely want to protect your prostate and keep it strong as you get older, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss any other evidence-based advice created specifically for men over 60. And if this topic interests you, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, drop a 0. Your feedback helps me make each video more useful for you. Right, let's get into it. Let me start with something I see in almost every man over 60 who walks into my clinic. It's not just the physical symptoms, it's the hidden fear that comes with them. You wake up multiple times a night. You feel like you can't fully empty your bladder. And deep down you're wondering, is this just getting older? Or is something more serious going on with my prostate? This is where most blokes start, and it's exactly where we need to begin. The silent fears that most men over 60 carry around. I can't even count how many men I've spoken with. Proud, hard-working blokes in their 60 seconds and 70 seconds. Who quietly admit, sometimes after years of suffering, that something's not right down there. They don't shout about it. They don't whinge. They just live with it, hoping it'll sort itself out. It starts with little things. Waking up 2 or 3 times a night to go to the dunny. Feeling like your bladder's never quite empty. Having to plan every trip around where the nearest toilet is. At first it's subtle, but over time it chips away at your confidence, your freedom, your peace of mind. And then comes the fear. Not just of the discomfort, but of the unknown. Is this just what happens when you get older? Or is something more serious developing? For many blokes, there's also this nagging worry that everyday habits like masturbation might be making things worse. They've heard rumors that frequent ejaculation can irritate the prostate, inflame it, or even increase the risk of cancer. These thoughts don't just create anxiety, they create shame, confusion, and silence. And I get it, because for decades, nobody talked about this openly. These were questions left in the dark, buried in late-night Google searches or hidden behind awkward doctor's visits that never quite got to the heart of the matter. But as a doctor with over 20 years of experience in men's health, I'm telling you, your fears are valid, but you deserve clarity. And more importantly, you deserve the truth based on science, not old wives' tales. So, before you start blaming yourself or your body, let's look at what the research actually says. Because once you hear what the scientists at Harvard discovered about frequent ejaculation and prostate cancer, I promise you'll never look at your daily habits the same way again. I remember the first time I came across the Harvard study. I was sitting in my office one evening, going through medical journals, when I saw the headline, Ejaculation Frequency and Prostate Cancer Risk. My first thought was probably the same as yours. Is this for real? But the more I read, the more I realized this wasn't some fringe theory or speculative idea. This was a landmark study spanning 18 years, following over 31,000 men, and what it found was genuinely groundbreaking. The researchers didn't just ask vague questions. They tracked lifestyle habits, health outcomes, and most importantly, how often these men ejaculated, whether through sex or masturbation. What they discovered overturned decades of myths. The data showed that men who ejaculated 21 or more times per month had up to 33% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to men who only ejaculated 4 to 7 times per month. Think about that for a moment. Something as natural and accessible as ejaculation, done regularly, was strongly associated with a significant reduction in cancer risk. When I share this with my patients, most of them just stare at me, gobsmacked. One fella, a retired firefighter from Brisbane, 67 years old, laughed and said, "You mean I've been doing something right all these years?" And honestly, yes, that's exactly what the science tells us. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't give you permission to become obsessive or ignore other aspects of your health. But it does mean that daily ejaculation is not the threat many older men fear it to be. In fact, it might be one of the body's simplest tools for staying healthy. But of course, that leads us to an even deeper question. Why does it work? What's actually happening inside your body when you ejaculate regularly that helps protect your prostate? The answer lies in something your body does naturally, but only if you let it. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture your prostate as a small, fluid-producing factory sitting just below your bladder. Day after day, it works quietly and steadily, producing the nourishing fluid that makes up semen. But like any factory, if you don't clear out the output regularly, waste starts to build up. The machinery gets clogged, and over time, that slow accumulation can cause serious problems. That's the idea behind what scientists call the prostatic stagnation hypothesis. It's a theory, yes, but one backed by growing evidence and plenty of clinical sense. As men age, especially into their 60 seconds, 70 seconds, and beyond, the frequency of ejaculation often drops, but the prostate doesn't stop producing fluid. So what happens to it? It starts to stagnate, to build up. And with that stagnation comes the risk of cellular debris, toxins, and even potential carcinogens accumulating in those delicate ducts. According to this theory, regular ejaculation acts like a natural flush. It clears the pipes, pushes out the old fluid, and helps maintain a healthier internal environment. It's not unlike changing the oil in your car. Skip it for too long, and you're grinding down the whole system. I've seen this firsthand in my practice. Men who maintain healthy sexual activity, whether through intimacy or masturbation, tend to report fewer symptoms of congestion, less discomfort, and better urinary flow. It's not a miracle cure, but it's quiet, steady, deeply effective maintenance. And the best part? It's something your body already knows how to do. It's part of your biology. You just have to let it work, as it was designed. But clearing out old fluid is only one piece of the puzzle. There's something even more fascinating happening at the cellular level. Something that might be your prostate's best natural defense against disease, and it has everything to do with how your body replaces its own cells. One of the most remarkable features of the human body is its constant renewal. Every day, cells work, divide, and replace old ones with new ones. And while this process is natural and essential, it's not perfect. Each time a cell divides, there's a chance, however small, that an error occurs in the genetic code. Over time, these small errors can accumulate, and in the wrong place, like the prostate, they can become the seeds of cancer gene. That's why cell turnover is so important. It's not just about regeneration, it's about protection. When the prostate is active, when it's being emptied regularly through ejaculation, this turnover speeds up. The body is prompted to clear out aged or damaged cells and replace them with newer, healthier ones. It's like renovating the foundations before the cracks spread. In fact, some researchers believe this might be one of the key reasons why frequent ejaculation is linked to lower prostate cancer risk. It's not just about flushing waste. It's about preventing abnormal cells from taking hold in the first place. I remember a patient named Bruce. He was 72, sharp as a tack, and had spent most of his life working on cattle stations out west. When I explained this concept to him, he paused and said, So it's like cleaning out the shed before the rust sets in. And honestly, he nailed it. It's proactive, it's preventive, and it makes a real difference. Now, this doesn't mean ejaculation is a magic cure-all, but it does mean your body has built-in tools to defend itself, tools you might have been neglecting without even realizing it. But there's more to it. Because even with healthy cell turnover, your prostate faces another major threat. And this one doesn't come from inside your cells. It comes from your mind. If there's one thing I've learned in my decades of practice, it's this. What happens in your mind doesn't stay there. Stress isn't just a feeling. It's a biological event. And for older men, especially those dealing with prostate issues, that silent pressure builds up over time. It tightens the muscles around your bladder, raises your blood pressure, and triggers chronic inflammation in places you can't even feel until something starts to go wrong. And here's the surprising bit. Ejaculation can help. Whether through intimacy or masturbation, the act of release doesn't just provide a moment of physical relief, it transforms your entire internal chemistry. Your body releases oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins. These aren't just feel-good chemicals. They actively calm the nervous system, lower cortisol, the stress hormone, and reduce systemic inflammation throughout your body, including in your prostate. Think about how many times you've carried a week's worth of tension in your shoulders, your gut, your chest. That same tension shows up in your pelvic floor, around your prostate, in your urinary tract. And over time, that tension creates irritation, pressure, and dysfunction. I had a patient, Graham, who came in complaining of frequent urination and pelvic discomfort. We ruled out serious conditions, but what stood out was how wound up he was. Retired, but still carrying a lifetime of stress on his shoulders. Once we addressed the emotional side and encouraged him to reconnect with healthy sexual release, things started to shift, not just physically, but emotionally too. You see, when it comes to your prostate, release isn't just a physical act. It's a full-body reset, and for men over 60, that reset might be one of the most underused healing tools available. But here's the thing. Even if you're doing everything right, flushing the system, keeping cells healthy, managing stress, there's still a hidden issue that could be putting pressure on your prostate, and it's something almost nobody talks about. Here's something I see constantly, and it frustrates me because most men never find out until it's already causing problems. I call it prostate congestion. It's not an official medical term, but it describes something very real. Maybe you ejaculate regularly, eat well, and try to stay healthy, but you still feel pressure, a weak stream, frequent urges, or that annoying sensation of never being completely empty. Sound familiar? That's because as you age, your prostate doesn't just face inflammation or cellular damage. It also becomes stiffer, less elastic, and more prone to what I describe as internal blockages. Layers of hardened fluid, inflamed tissue, and poor circulation that restrict natural flow. It's like a garden hose that's been left out in the sun too long, twisted, resistant, and slow to respond. One of my patients, Dennis, a retired pilot from Melbourne, 69 years old, came to see me and said, "Doc, I feel like something's stuck in there, like everything's jammed up." He wasn't wrong. His PSA was normal, but his prostate was swollen, inflamed, and underperforming. No infection, no cancer, just stagnation and poor flow. And this type of congestion doesn't always show up on basic tests. That's why so many men feel dismissed when they bring it up. The solution requires more than just ejaculation. It requires improving blood flow, reducing deep tissue inflammation, and helping the prostate regain its natural rhythm. For some, this means targeted exercises. For others, herbal support, and in many cases, a specific blend of natural ingredients like pomegranate, green tea extract, and saw palmetto can help relax what time has tightened. Now, let me share something that many of you have been asking about in the comments. What's the right frequency for your age? Because I know the study talks about 21 times a month, but that might not be realistic or even necessary for everyone. Here's a rough guide based on what the research suggests and what I've seen work in clinical practice. For blokes in their 40 seconds and 50 seconds, aim for around 3 to 5 times per week if you can. Your body's still producing testosterone at decent levels, and regular ejaculation helps maintain prostate health and hormonal balance. For men in their 60 seconds, 2 to 4 times per week is a solid target. You might notice things slowing down a bit, and that's completely normal. The key is consistency, not intensity. For men in their 70 seconds and beyond, even once or twice a week can make a meaningful difference. And if you're widowed or living on your own, don't feel any shame about self-pleasure. It's a legitimate health practice, full stop. I've had plenty of patients who are widowers or living alone, and they often feel awkward bringing this up. But I always tell them the same thing. Your body doesn't care whether you have a partner or not. It still needs maintenance. And looking after yourself is nothing to be embarrassed about. But even with the right frequency, there are 5 natural habits that can supercharge your prostate health. And if you're not doing these, you're leaving protection on the table. First, nutrition matters more than you think. Foods rich in lycopene, like cooked tomatoes, watermelon, and even pink grapefruit, are incredibly powerful. Lycopene is a natural antioxidant that concentrates in the prostate and helps reduce oxidative stress. Adding a few servings a week can make a real difference. Second, green tea isn't just relaxing, it's medicinal. It's packed with catechins that help fight inflammation and protect prostate cells from damage. I usually recommend 2 cups a day for men over 60. It's a small habit with big returns. Third, keep your body moving. You don't need to run marathons. Just 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days a week can improve circulation, reduce hormonal imbalances, and help regulate prostate size. Exercise isn't just good for your heart, it's essential for your prostate. Fourth, cut back on the things you know aren't helping. Smoking and excessive alcohol increase systemic inflammation and are linked to more aggressive forms of prostate disease. I know it's not easy, but even small reductions can help. And finally, be proactive about checkups. A lot of blokes avoid the doctor out of fear or pride, but regular screening, like the PSA test, can catch problems early when they're most treatable. Early detection isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Together, these 5 habits work in synergy with the natural benefits of ejaculation. They create a holistic approach to prostate health that's built on prevention, not panic. So there you have it. After all the confusion, the fear, and the misinformation, here's the truth. Daily masturbation isn't something to be ashamed of. It doesn't drain you, it doesn't poison your prostate, and it doesn't steal your manhood. In fact, it might be one of your body's most powerful natural defenses, especially as you age. We've gone through the science together. The Harvard study linking frequent ejaculation to 33% lower prostate cancer risk. The theory of flushing old fluids to keep the system clean. The crucial role of healthy cell renewal. How stress feeds inflammation, and how sexual release can bring calm, clarity, and even healing. We talked about the hidden obstacles so many men carry without realizing. And we finished with 5 simple but powerful habits that strengthen the prostate daily. But beyond the research and the remedies, here's what I really hope you take away from this. You're not broken. You're not too old. And you don't have to accept discomfort, fear, or silence as your new normal. You have options, you have control, and you have every right to feel strong, confident, and fully alive. No matter your age, I've met hundreds of men who thought it was too late. It never was. They just needed the right information, and a doctor who would finally speak to them with honesty and respect. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. And if you're ready to keep learning, growing, and looking after your health, I'll be here with more truth, more science, and more support just for you. Stay strong, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.